Hey my peeps, hey loves. So this wasn't what I was going to talk about. I was going to do another live stream, but I went into a Facebook group or saw a post come up on my feed that's in Mark Rosenfeld's group. He has a group called Understanding Men, and I'm in that group, and there's a lot of posts in there from women about trying to understand men. And sometimes these posts to me, with the comments that come up, I wouldn't say frustrating is the right word, but the comments for me, I was just like, oh, I just wish these women knew and understood men. I mean, that's why they're in the group, right? But I was like, if only they knew. And there's a lot of judgments as well. So there was a post in the group about a woman was just simply, I'm not going to go into details for privacy reasons, but simply sharing that her partner looks at other women and it really bothers her, and so she's thinking about breaking up with him. And essentially my answer was that men can't help it, and if they are, they're forcing themselves and they're suppressing themselves. If they are like not looking at, like if they're in a partnership, for example, and they're trying to avoid looking at other women because they don't want it to upset their partner, then they're being suppressed. Yeah, then they're shutting themselves down. Then they're being a people pleaser. Then they're being a nice guy. And that is going to come out in unhealthy ways, okay? And there's a whole lot of stuff that goes on for men around this. I'm going to share with you why men look at women, why they stare at women, why they may come off as perverts, because I've noticed that there's been this kind of judgment of like, oh, if a man does that, then he's a pervert, or he's an asshole, or he's a predator, or whatever, yeah? So I just want to kind of bust some of this bullshit. Hey everyone, whoa, we've got quite a few people on here. This is a very juicy topic. I'm not prepared for this topic at all, by the way, but it's in my space, so I'm just going to share. And the reason why I'm going to share is because I'm so passionate about not shaming men for being men, essentially, yeah? And so what I wanted to speak to is that men are visual creatures. Like they are wired to be visual, yeah? And so they literally have no control over this. No control, right? And so they literally will look, and one of the things that one of my ex-partners used to tell me is that, or it's actually an ex-lover, used to tell me is that he would feel terrible about it. He's like, and he opened up and he said, I look at women all day and then I shut myself down. I shame myself because I feel like I'm a bad person. I feel like I'm a bad man. I feel like I'm a predator. I feel like I shouldn't be looking. And sometimes it is like, I feel like I sexually desire to have these women. I desire to have sex with them. And then I shut myself down. And there was another time that he had porn up on his computer, and I saw it, like, because I was doing something on his computer, and he went into this deep shame about it. And I actually said to him, it's okay. You know, I'm okay that you are. There's nothing wrong, right? And the reason why I say that is because, and I don't advocate porn because of what it does to the man's brain. Not because it's like shameful and you shouldn't be watching porn and it makes you dirty. Not because of that, but because of what it does to the brain and how it disconnects men from their hearts. That's why I don't advocate it. And a lot of my work is helping men with porn addiction. So. And porn is one of the issues here as well, and I'll speak to that shortly, as to because I'll speak to that now. And most of this comes down to a lack of education, yeah, a lack of men being educated around their sexual energy, around their sexuality, around their emotions. They are shut down emotionally from childhood, saying it's not okay to feel what they feel, that they're weak, or it's not safe to be vulnerable because then they're not really a man. This kind of conditioning. And then they're also told that it's not safe to get an erection, that it's not safe to, it's not acceptable, you know, or they have this pressure to be like, oh, you have to have a certain cock size to be a man, you know, all this bullshit stuff. And it's like kind of goes against each other too, right? So then they're shut down sexually, and then they start, when there's testosterone goes up as a teenager, they start to they start looking for sources of ways to A, relieve their stress because they've been taught not to be emotional, and B, to manage their sexual energy. And the thing that they have to turn to is porn, because that's what's most easily accessible. What this then does to the brain is hardwires the brain to look for the things that they're seeing on porn. Yeah, so when they see a woman, an attractive woman, of course they're going to look at her, because they've been hardwired this way for however long. And on top of that, they're visual creatures. On top of that, they're naturally visual. This is instinctual, yeah, because they have to protect us, right? They have to, you know, they have to be visual to, like, I mean, this is instinctually, like they're protectors, they're hunters, yeah, so they have to go and find the deer, find the lion, whatever they have to do on an instinctual level. They have to have like this perception, this visual way of being as a hunter, yeah. So this is part of their makeup, yeah. So what I feel passionate about is not shaming men for just being who they are, and also not shaming them for the conditioning. Yeah, I was actually watching the conditioning that they've been through, and instead of shaming or, you know, or making it internal, this is the other thing that came up, was that, as that I said, it isn't even about what the man's doing. It's about your interpretation of it and the insecurities that it's bringing up. So if you're a woman and it really bothers you that men look at women, men look at you, you're in a partnership and your man looks at another woman, I would be getting curious. Instead of judging him for being a certain way, I would be getting curious about, why do I feel this way? What is in me that is feeling insecure? So if you're with someone and it's your partner that's looking at other women, am I afraid that he's going to leave me? Am I afraid that he's going to cheat on me? Do I not feel as desirable, or do I not feel like he's not choosing me if he's looking at her? Like, do I not feel chosen? Is there a not chosen wound there? Am I feeling insecure about my body? Like, what are the fears that are actually underneath the judgment of him doing it? Why does it bother you? And if you're a woman that finds it, you don't like the way that men look at you, then I would be looking at, again, like, what are your vulnerabilities around that? Yeah, you know, maybe you've experienced being taken advantage of when you were younger by men. Maybe there's stuff that you grew up around your parents or your mum, around judgments on men, and how men are, you know, all about sex and just want one thing and all this kind of stuff that you may have taken on. And then what I tend to notice, if this has happened, this becomes this kind of wall of protection. And something that I've had to really journey with is, you know, wanting to be desired and looking a certain way to be desired, or dressing in a certain way, but then like also this massive wall, like, no, don't desire me too much, because that doesn't feel safe. Like, you can only desire me this much, I only want to be desired by you, but you can look at me, but you're not allowed to look at me. Like, these kind of bullshit stuff, because I feel safe with you, but I don't feel safe with you. Where really it's all an internal game to look at, like, where am I not feeling safe inside of myself? And then essentially that's the work that needs to be done. And I don't want anyone to think about breaking up with someone or ending a relationship because something they're doing is upsetting you, and where actually it's just them being who they, like, a part of who they are, like it's a part of like their makeup or their conditioning that they've had no control over. And sure, they may be willing to work on that, but if you break up with them and you don't deal with it internal, then it's just going to show up in the next person. And this goes for everything, right? I'm just talking like with this specific example, that will keep showing up and it'll keep showing up and it'll keep showing up until you go, hang on, I think this might actually be me. I think that maybe I have to look at my own stuff as to why this stuff keeps bothering me, right? So like, I've grown to have a lot of compassion for men, because men have sat with me on like day after day, sharing the same things, their same frustrations, the same conditioning that they've been through. I mean, most of them are not even aware that they've been conditioned. When I tell them about their sexuality, they're like, oh my God, like, oh my God, they're like, oh my God, that makes so much sense, EJ. Like, I feel like you're just explaining my whole journey that I've been through, and that actually I've been conditioned to be so sexually suppressed and I didn't even know it. Yeah. So, and I can speak more to this, and I think I have a talk on YouTube, The Multi-Orgasmic Man, which speaks to this. And I do have a men's program. I didn't actually come on here to talk about the men's program, but I put it in the links anyway. It's a men's sex mastery program, and it dives into all the stuff, but I wasn't planning to talk about that, but while I'm here. Yeah, so one thing I would say is, when you see men looking at women, know that that's instinct, yeah? And it's also the conditioning. It's like when you see something over and over and over and over again, then of course it's just going to show, like, your subconscious mind is going to keep like being drawn to these things, right? So compassion is key, and curiosity. Like, be curious. Like, if you are with somebody who does look at other women, just ask. And a lot of the times they might not even know, because they don't have no control, right? And until that we have these discussions, men don't know. Yeah, they don't know. I mean, some men might, but I'm just saying in general, like, until we talk about this and give them the information that they haven't been given as teenagers, then they don't know. So this is really important to get out there, so that men can understand their own sexuality, and so women can also have compassion for the way men are, and be curious with them.